Okay, so what happens if a product gets marked as restricted? Like,
Hmm.
is that now, oh, we have to get rid of that? Or like, what happens internally at a warehouse if this is a restricted product? Because sometimes, like, you're in marked restricted for the wrong reason, and then it's like, no, and you have to open a customer course. But like, I'm wondering, like, what timeline people have or like kind of what's happening there so they can be aware of that their inventory doesn't just go boom.
Yeah. And help me with the terminology. When you say restricted, do you mean like hazmat, high value?
Okay, so yeah. So there's hazmat is one, but
Mhm.
then there's other ones like I think even fidget spinners or now eclipse glasses or lock picking, like lock picks,
Yeah.
stuff like that where you have to have prior approval to sell or it's potentially dangerous.
Yep.
Yeah, so is there
So
like
you
a rule
nailed
like
it.
if it's dangerous we just get rid of it or is it kind of like case by case like what goes on there?
Okay, so there's a couple of different ways to answer this. So there's the people involved. So what's the process for it to be restricted? And then there's how is it handled in the warehouse, right? So the process can be from two different sides. Either the retail team handling that product line, like the homewares team or the sports team, right? Or a lot of times this will happen in jewelry. Um, they'll flag it and they'll mark it for something. Usually high hazmat is usually a big one, things like batteries and um, different types of sprays, whatever. And you'd be surprised what comes. Nail polish a lot of times could be hazmat, right? It's crazy the stuff that actually becomes hazmat. But then what happens is it has to go to a building that handles that type of stuff. So that can be a
Oh,
real
okay.
a real problem, right? If you're marked, and it could happen at any time. So let me talk about the process. The process is someone identifies it as hazmat and they flag it as hazmat. That's it. And when I say someone, it literally could be just about anybody who has access to that tool. And they say this is hazmat, right? Not everyone has access, but they can tell the person that does, and they'll flag it as hazmat because Amazon's very big on pushing decision making to the lowest level. So you can have a person that just showed up 6 weeks ago say, "Hey, look, this looks like
Oh,
a
this is
hazmat."
hazmat.
Yeah, right. Now you're flagged, and here's the problem: is now everything in your inventory, if it's already in a bin, is now flagged as hazmat, unsellable immediately. It's got to get pulled down from the bins, packaged up, and shipped off to another warehouse. Right. So that's where you end up with stuff that just gets stuck and you're not sure why. Then it's got to go through the
Oh.
whole receive process again, get up on the shelves in the hazmat section, and now it's available for sale. Right. That's a huge pain. The other thing that could happen besides hazmat that's a similar thing, similar process, is high value. Notice I didn't say high retail value, it's high value.
What's
So
that?
what's the
I've never heard of
difference?
that.
Sure. High value, this is like jewelry, right? You think of things that, iPads, iPods, a lot of times could be flagged as high value, or things that are really prone to theft. So, when the Need for Speed games are coming out, people would take uh, the games, slide them, put a slit in the box, slide them out of the box, and stick them in their pocket, right? Because it wouldn't
Yep.
necessarily go off on the metal detectors. Well, when we found that out, we had to mark those as high value and then put them into the cage. And so here's how that's handled. Every building has a high value cage. So you have to, where it's actually chained off. There's chain. It's like regular storage
Oh,
warehouse,
because
but
internal people could steal it.
exactly. Actual Amazon
Oh.
workers could steal your product.
Oh, I guess that's a whole nother problem. Yeah,
Mhm.
internal issues. Okay.
So then why it's challenging for you is now it seems restricted and you're like, what's going on? But it's because they got to pull it and put it into that cage, and it slows down the process because now only certain workers are allowed to go into that cage because they've been trusted and vetted. There's cameras everywhere, which means that now they may not be running that high value process path at all times. So
Oh, and then every time an order comes in for that, it has to be one of those high value people.
exactly.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
Wow. I never knew that.
Amazon from the inside out, right?
Awesome.